The sun had barely risen when Zola stood before the towering gates of Nembu Estate, hidden deep in South Africa's Mpumalanga province. The land whispered ancient songs as if spirits watched from the acacia trees. The mist hovered like forgotten dreams, and in its embrace loomed the mansion, a modern palace of glass, steel, and imported marble. Zola gripped her tattered handbag, the one that had followed her through years of struggle since her husband, Saifo, perished in the diamond mines. Her life was now a mosaic of small cleaning jobs, agency assignments, and long nights alone. The agency call came suddenly the previous night. Special client. Private estate, long-term contract possible. Very high-paying, you're the perfect fit. She needed the money. But as the iron gates creaked open without any human touch, only the cold voice of the AI security system. Identity confirmed, Zola Mbeki, domestic services. She felt a shiver run down her spine. The mansion was vast beyond anything she had seen. Paintings worth millions hung on the walls. Sculptures from distant lands lined the halls. But it all felt hollow, like a shell. Her work began at once. Athena directed her schedule. There were no staff. No cooks, no butlers. The cold hum of technology ran the estate. Even for the wealthy, this kind of loneliness was unnatural. Hours into cleaning as Zola wiped down the grand piano in the west wing. She heard it, a faint sound, a whimper, not a mechanical glitch, a baby's cry. Her body froze. Was there a child here? The agency hadn't mentioned any family members. Drawn by instinct, she followed the sound. The crying led her to a door she wasn't assigned to enter. Tall, white, and pristine, like something from a luxury magazine. She hesitated, but the cries broke her restraint. Inside was an opulent nursery. Crystal mobiles hung from the ceiling. Stuffed animals imported from Europe filled designer shelves. But in the crib lay a small, wailing baby boy, no more than 9 months old. His tiny face was red from crying. His chest heaved. His little arms reached for something or someone who was not there. Zola's motherly instincts overtook protocol. She rushed in and lifted the child into her arms. Hush now, little one. I've got you. Her voice, seasoned by years of both sorrow and song, carried a melody passed down by her ancestors. The child, hearing the unfamiliar but soothing tones, slowly quieted. His tears dried, his little fingers clutched her shirt. His head rested against her shoulder. For the first time in many hours, maybe days, the mansion knew peace. High above, far from the mansion in his top-floor Johannesburg office, Billionaire, Elias Mthembu sat in silence. Staring at his surveillance feed, he watched Zola soothe his son. The sight stirred something unfamiliar in him. For years, Elias lived by rigid rules. Discipline, efficiency, control. Love was weakness. His business empire was built on logic, power, and ruthless precision. He believed the child raised without emotional dependency would become invincible. If I give him everything material, the finest nannies, doctors, AI tutors, love won't be necessary. Elias had told himself, but here was a stranger, a mere cleaner, accomplishing what his sophisticated system couldn't, calming his son. His son, his only heir. Elias clenched his jaw. Was she overstepping or revealing his failure? He ordered Athena. Summon her to the study tomorrow morning. The next day, the study doors slid open as Zola entered. Her posture upright, though nerves buzzed beneath her skin, Elias sat behind a polished ebony desk, dressed immaculately. In a dark, tailored suit, his sharp features and silver-streaked hair giving him an air of calculated intimidation. You held my child. Elias began coldly. No greeting. Zola met his piercing gaze. Yes, he was crying. That was not your role. You were hired to clean, nothing more. Zola's voice remained steady, though her pulse quickened. He is a child, not furniture. No human child should cry like that and remain untouched. Elias narrowed his eyes, unused to defiance. You are bold for someone in your position. I am a mother, Zola said softly. Or, I lost my son years ago. That pain teaches you what a child needs most. No amount of gold or luxury can replace human warmth. Elias's face twitched, almost unnoticeably. She had struck somewhere deeper than she realized. He stood, pacing. Slowly. His voice softened slightly. Neo's mother was a surrogate. Business arrangement, paid generously. She vanished after birth. I chose not to hire full-time staff. Emotions cloud judgment. I want him strong, independent, hardened. Zola's. Breath caught, a surrogate, no motherly touch, no bond. Only transactions. You are wrong, sir, she said quietly but firmly. Strength comes from being loved first. Only loved children become strong adults. Elias stared at her. He could dismiss her. Fire her, but something about her honesty unnerved him and intrigued him. Leave now, he finally said. You will continue your work, but also tend to the boy. Days turned into weeks. Zola became more than a cleaner. She fed Neo, bathed him, read stories in both English and Zulu. She taught him little claps. His first words, and laughed as he toddled clumsily on his chubby legs. Elias observed silently, always at a distance. Through hidden cameras or brief encounters, Neo's constant crying ceased. The boy smiled now, reaching his arms toward Zola whenever she entered the room. For the first time, the mansion breathed. One late evening, as Zola prepared Neo's evening porridge, Elias appeared unexpectedly in the kitchen, a rare event. You're teaching him to sing, Elias said quietly, as Neo babbled happily in Zola's arms. Yes, music heals. He studied the scene before him, an image so foreign to his controlled world. The smell of homemade food, the warmth of a lullaby, the comfort of touch. Join me for dinner tomorrow night, Elias said abruptly. Zola blinked, surprised. Sir, I want to talk. Their dinner was quiet at first. Seated across from each other under a grand chandelier, Elias sipped his wine, studying her. I was raised by cold hands, Elias finally said. My father valued results. My mother feared him. I built my empire to prove I was stronger than both of them. Zola listened silently. When I arranged Neo's birth, I promised myself he would not need anyone. But he does, Zola said softly. Elias stared at his wine. Glass, and perhaps so do I? The honesty hung between them like fragile glass, but peace was short-lived. That very night, masked intruders slipped onto the estate. They were hired mercenaries, sent by Elias's bitter business rivals who sought to kidnap Neo. Knowing the boy was his weakness, Zola awoke to faint noises. Training from her harsh life took over. She grabbed Neo and slipped into the hidden servant passages she had accidentally discovered weeks earlier. Downstairs, Elias confronted the men alone, gun drawn. Shots rang out, shouts echoed. His security system kicked in, delaying the mercenaries until police arrived. Zola kept Neo quiet in the secret corridor, whispering village songs into his ear. While the chaos unfolded around them, by morning, the mansion was swarmed with police. The intruders were arrested. Elias found Zola cradling Neo in the secret passage, her body trembling, but her face composed. You risked your life for him, Elias whispered. Kneeling before them, Zola looked into his eyes and said softly, So, did you? Weeks passed. The mansion was no longer silent. Neo's laughter filled the halls. The cold marble surfaces were softened by African fabrics, village wood carvings, and vibrant colors Zola introduced. Elias changed too. He started holding his son, feeding him, reading bedtime stories. For the first time, his business empire took second place to fatherhood. One evening, as the orange sunset bathed the horizon, Elias approached Zola in the garden where she played. With Neo beneath the baobab tree, he paused, voice trembling for the first time in years. Zola, you have done more for me and my son than I can repay. I find myself no longer able to imagine this home without you. He knelt slightly. His voice softened. I do not ask out of charity. I ask out of love. Will you marry me? Will you be Neo's mother, not by contract, but by heart? Tears welled in Zola's eyes. Yes, she whispered, her voice breaking with joy. Yes. Elias. The wedding was unlike anything the mansion had seen. Tribal elders from Zola's village arrived in colorful attire. Drummers pounded ancient rhythms. Dancers circled in joyous spirals. The baobab tree under which they stood was decorated with handmade cloths and wildflowers. Zola wore a dress blending both worlds, Western silk with traditional Zulu beadwork. Neo stood proudly between them. Holding his parents' hands, Elias recited his vows in both English and halting Zulu, causing the crowd to cheer in laughter and joy. Today, under the tree of our ancestors, I vow to never again choose emptiness. I choose love. I choose family. As the sun dipped into the horizon, painting the African sky in crimson and gold, Zola and Elias kissed, sealing not just their love but the healing of two broken hearts. The mansion was no longer cold. It echoed with life, music, children's laughter, and the warmth of a home finally complete. Their tale became legend, not of wealth, but of how one woman's courage and love transformed a lonely empire into a thriving family.